learning. Policy Conference is all about learning, leading, and lobbying. So on Tuesday morning, thousands of us will take action on Capitol Hill to stand united with Israel. We will come together to urge members of Congress to co-sponsor legislation which will enhance the U.S.-Israel relationship and to ensure that Israel maintains its strength in the face of growing threats of war.
AIPAC's lobbying agenda this year is focused on three core issues: providing Israel with much-needed security assistance, opposing Iran's regional aggression and nuclear ambitions, and opposing boycotts of Israel, which also threaten U.S. companies.
Which brings us to our first message for Congress. The United States must provide vital security assistance to Israel. This is the foundation of our work together, lobbying for the support Israel needs to defend itself by itself. Annual security assistance is the most tangible manifestation of American support for the Jewish state. For decades, America has understood that it is in our national interest that Israel has the resources it needs to respond decisively.
So America depends on Israel as the one stable, democratic ally in the Middle East. Both countries share intelligence, technology, and so much more. But instability grips the Middle East, and Israel faces growing security threats, requiring her to invest more money in sophisticated and expensive weaponry. To the north, Israel faces Hezbollah in Lebanon, with an estimated 150,000 missiles and rockets, capable of hitting every part of Israel. And in Syria, Iran is cementing its military presence ever closer to Israel's border. To the south, Hamas controls Gaza, where it is digging more and more terror tunnels into Israel. And ISIS-affiliated terrorists roam the Sinai Peninsula.
Israel relies on our help to meet near-term threats like rockets from Hezbollah and Hamas, as well as longer-term threats like a nuclear-armed Iran. To help meet these threats, on Tuesday, we will ask lawmakers to fully fund $3.3 billion in security assistance to Israel, $500 million in cooperative missile defense funding, and to support the overall foreign aid bill. Further, we will ask lawmakers to co-sponsor the United States-Israel Security Assistance Authorization Act of 2018, bipartisan legislation just introduced by Representatives Ileana Ros-Lehtinen and Ted Deutsch, and Senators Marco Rubio and Chris Coons. Yeah, they deserve a lot of credit. This bill supports agreed-upon funding levels, and it dramatically strengthens U.S. cooperation with Israel in many areas, including enhancing and expanding Israeli-based American War Reserve stockpiles, which the U.S. can share with Israel in an emergency.
This brings us to our second message for Congress. For over 25 years, AIPAC has been instrumental in bringing attention to the threat posed by Iran. We have worked with successive administrations and Congresses to peacefully address the Iranian nuclear threat. Unfortunately, the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran has not moderated Iran's aggressive behavior. According to the State Department, Iran remains the leading state sponsor of terrorism. Over the last year, it has established military bases throughout Syria, which threaten Israel's northern border.
Iran's regional aggression directly challenges American interests and our allies. As Secretary of Defense James Mattis recently observed, everywhere we find trouble in the Middle East, the same thing is behind it: Iran. Just 3 weeks ago, Iran launched from Syria a hostile unmanned aerial vehicle, otherwise known as a UAV or a drone, deep into Israeli airspace. This is a stunning provocation that highlights the grave threat that Iran's presence in Syria poses to Israel's security. Through diplomacy, we must address this malign behavior as well as shortcomings in the 2015 nuclear deal to ensure that Iran never acquires a nuclear weapon.
When we go to the Hill tomorrow, we will ask House members to co-sponsor the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps Economic Exclusion Act, bipartisan legislation that sanctions the IRGC, introduced by Representatives Ed Royce and Eliot Engel. And in the Senate, we will lobby in support of a bipartisan letter to Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, circulated by Senators Bob Corker and Robert Menendez. Right? Yep. And it wasn't easy to get. The letter urges stronger action to counter Iran's regional aggression and vigorous diplomatic engagement with our European allies to prevent Iran from ever acquiring a nuclear weapon.
Now let's turn to our third message for Congress: the need for America to fight economic boycotts against Israel by the United Nations and other international governmental organizations. Almost every day, Israel faces unfair criticism and attacks that seek to stigmatize, delegitimize, and isolate the Jewish state. Serious human rights crises grip our globe, yet Israel is the only country the UN Human Rights Council scrutinizes every time it meets.
This issue became more pressing in 2016 when the Council ordered the preparation of a database of companies conducting certain business beyond the 1949 armistice line, including East Jerusalem and the Jewish quarter of the Old City. And in January 2018, the UN Human Rights Commissioner the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights threatened 206 companies, including 22 American companies. These threats directly support the objectives of the BDS movement and can set back the cause of peace. Further, they could lead to international censure or worse for companies doing business with Israel, and could deter others from engaging in any trade or investment in the Jewish state.
Tomorrow, we will ask both senators and representatives to co-sponsor the Israel Anti-Boycott Act, which prohibits U.S. companies from cooperating with international boycotts of Israel. It is co-authored by Senators Portman and Cardin. Yeah. It is co-authored by great friends of Israel as well, Senators Portman and Cardin, and by Representatives Roscom and Vargas.
Now on Tuesday, you might get some pushback. You might hear the Anti-Boycott Act restricts free speech. But that is simply not true. Nothing in this bill restricts constitutionally protected free speech. The bill only regulates commercial conduct supporting international governmental boycotts that our government opposes. Moreover, to reassure any who have expressed concern, the Senate's bill sponsors are adding clarifying language to make it crystal clear that their bill protects the First Amendment rights of all Americans.
So this is our path forward. providing Israel with much-needed security assistance,
opposing Iran's regional aggression and nuclear ambitions,
and opposing boycotts of Israel that also threaten U.S. companies. This is our path to preserving the safety of Israel and of our nation, and this is your message on Tuesday. Thank you.